Rolling Stone magazine's Continuous History of Rock and Roll, Volume 1, Number 19. This week, we'll hear some of the greatest rock and roll from several of rock's most important performers. I'm Gary Bridges. When we return, it's the music of Janis Joplin.
Well, you know you got it, sure if it makes you feel good.
Ann and Nancy Wilson of Heart. Stevie Nicks and Christine McVie of Fleetwood Mac.
But it sure feels nice.
Pat Benatar. And more as we present Women in Rock. When you think of your favorite rock groups, what names come to mind? The Stones? The Who? Zeppelin? The Beatles? The top groups that generally come to mind are made up of men, and rock and roll itself appears to be male-dominated. Yet some of the most important and popular rock music has been written and performed by women, especially in recent years. During the next hour, we'll trace the music of a few of the most influential women in rock and see how the role of women has changed throughout the continuous history of rock and roll.
Shoot you my love, well I guess that it went
Even It Up from Heart, a band led by sisters Ann and Nancy Wilson. And we'll hear more from them later, but first, let's trace a few earlier women in rock.
Now he's gone and we're through. Am I blue?
Every style of popular music has had its top female stars. Blues in the 20s, 30s, and 40s had Bessie Smith, Billie Holiday, and Ella Fitzgerald. Country music had Patsy Cline, Loretta Lynn, Tammy Wynette, and many others. Pop in the early 50s was fairly dominated by the likes of Teresa Brewer, Patti Page, and Peggy Lee. But it wasn't till the early 60s that women artists made a significant impression in rock and roll. After the first big onslaught of rock and roll, several so-called girl groups rose to fame behind the coaching of skilled producers like George Goldner and Phil Spector. Groups like the Shirelles, the Marvelettes, the Crystals, and the Chiffons sang of teenage morality, struggle, and above all, boys.
No, 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 him is to love, love, love him. He sure ain't the boy I've been dreaming of, but he's sure the boy I love. Let me tell you now, I'll be true to you. And when he walk me home, they do run, 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 they do run, run.
One of the best of the girl groups was a Phil Spector-produced trio called the Ronettes.
Like walking in the rain and wishing on the stars above and being so in love.
Sisters Ronnie and Estelle Bennett and cousin Nedra Talley began singing while still in school in the late 50s. When the twist became the hot dance craze, the Ronettes, like other groups of the day who could dance as well as sing, got the chance to play and tour the country. It was on tour that the Ronettes met producer Phil Spector, who signed them to his Phil Less record label. Under his direction, the Ronettes made their first hit record, and Ronnie got a husband. She married Phil Spector in 1968. Ronnie Spector remembers those early tours and the excitement of having their first hit record, Be My Baby.
You got there 11 o'clock in the morning, and you didn't get out till like 12 o'clock at night, and you did 6 shows a day, back to back. I recorded Be My Baby, then we went back on tour and did the Joey D and the Starlighters. And while we were doing that little bit of touring, Be My Baby became a hit so fast. And when we got back, it was like a whole different ball game, you know. We found ourselves, after Be My Baby, we were closing all the shows because we had gotten a name.
By and large, the girl groups of the 60s were organized, packaged, recorded, and marketed by their producers and managers. Few picked their own material, and fewer went on to successful solo careers after the groups broke up. Yet the best of that girl group era music still sounds great today.
Don't you want me, baby? Don't you want me no more? Ooh, baby.
The Motown era of the mid and late 60s helped launch the career of a number of female singers: Martha and the Vandellas, Mary Wells, Gladys Knight, and perhaps most popular, Diana Ross and the Supremes. About the same time the Motown era was getting underway, another rock scene was blossoming in San Francisco. By 1966, something like 1,500 rock bands were playing in clubs around the Bay Area. One of these groups would discover a woman who would change the way the world looked at women in rock. Janis Joplin grew up in Port Arthur, Texas. She was shy and loved to read, and that was 2 strikes against a girl in the late 50s and early 60s. At age 17, she left Port Arthur and traveled around, doing odd jobs and looking for work as a folk singer. She landed in San Francisco just as the scene there was starting to brew. She met the members of Big Brother and the Holding Company, a singerless band with a lot of promise. Well, Janis proved to be the missing ingredient the band needed. After sharpening up their act in Bay Area clubs, Janis and Big Brother played at the Monterey Pop Festival in 1967. It was a legendary performance that astounded critics, blew the audience away, and opened the door to a recording contract. Janis Joplin the wallflower from Port Arthur became a superstar. Janis Joplin with Big Brother and the Holding Company on the continuous history of rock and roll.
Don't you cry.
Janis left Big Brother in late 1968 and went solo, playing with her own backup bands. She went on to become rock's leading lady. The future looked bright, but Janis, who once remarked that on stage she made love to 25,000 people and then went home alone, died of an overdose of heroin, a sad and lonely person. In the tradition of the great blues singers, Janis Joplin sang of struggle and conflict, of giving her all to her man and her man giving nothing in return. She was the singer in the band, not the chief writer or musician, but unlike most women in pop music to that time, Janis had a certain amount of creative freedom. And as she stated in this interview just before her death, she never compromised herself for her career.
It hasn't yet really compromised the position that I took a long time ago in Texas. That was to be true to myself. I'm not wearing cardboard eyelashes and and girdles and playing in Las Vegas. I mean, I'm still being Janis. It just happens to be on a slightly different level or something now. So I can sit here and be just as honest as I would be in a bar, although I'd be a little happier in a bar.
When I'm on the road, playing in a town without a name, and I'm feeling low and everybody looks the same, well, you catch my eye and then you come on strong and try to make your play. Just because we love tonight, please don't you think it's gonna stay that way? Don't you know that you're nothing more than a one-night stand? Tomorrow I'll be on my way and you can catch me if you can. Wanna take me by the hand and play that game again. Everywhere I go, the people wanna make some time with me. That's okay. If the next day I can be free, well, it's feeling good and you're the one I'm loving tonight. Well, don't you go and spoil it, babe. The time to get yourself holding tight. Don't you know that you're nothing more than a one-night stand? I'll be on my way and you can catch me if you can. Wanna take me by the hand and play that game again. When I'm on the road, playing in a town without a name, when I'm feeling low, everyone looks the same. Well, it's looking good, and you're the one that's love me tonight. Don't you go and spoil it, babe. The time to get yourself holding tight. Don't you know that you're nothing more than a one-night stand? I'll be on my way, and you can catch me if you can. Wanna take me by the hand and play that game again. Don't you know that you're nothing more than a one-night stand? Oh, I'll be on my way, you can catch me if you can. Wanna take me by the hand and play that game again. Don't you know that you're nothing
Janis Joplin, the gutsy, gritty-voiced rock superstar who died before her time. That song is from a new collection of previously unreleased material recorded just before her death in 1970. We'll come back with another woman in rock who began in San Francisco and the female side of Fleetwood Mac. The continuous history of rock and roll is taking a glimpse at some of rock's most important women.
When the truth is found to be lies, and all the joy within you dies. Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? Wouldn't you love somebody to love? You better find somebody to love. Love.
Grace Slick and the Jefferson Airplane. Grace and her husband Jerry formed one of the first San Francisco bands in the mid-60s, the Great Society. But when Jefferson Airplane's lead singer left to have a baby, Grace joined them. For a while, the band was second only to the Beatles on the American charts. They were the San Francisco band. They played at Woodstock and Altamont.
All the tears of America, all the tears of America.
Grace and co-founder Paul Kantner had a baby together. And as the airplane became the Starship, Grace moved into more of a leadership role.
Love too good, you gotta love too good, you gotta love too good for women like me.
But as there were good times with the band, there were also bad. In the late 70s, Grace Slick left the Starship because of alcohol and drug problems. Those problems apparently resolved, she came back in time to help finish the Starship's latest album, Modern Times. Today, Grace ranks as one of rock's most important personalities. Yet when asked the reasons for the Starship's long success record, she was uncharacteristically at a loss for words.
I can't explain the Starship or airplane sort of thing. I mean, Starship doesn't have a cult following. They were never really number one, but they're always for a certain period of time within the top 10 every time they put out a record. It's not a spectacular bombs going off show. I don't know what it is or why it has that longevity.
Raindrops falling
Stranger, a duet featuring Jefferson Starship singers Mickey Thomas and Grace Slick on the continuous history of rock and roll.
And it's too late, baby, now it's too late. Though we really did try to make it. Something inside has died and I can't hide and I just can't fake it. Oh, no, no.
In the 70s, as women in America began to take more control of their lives, women artists began taking more control of their music, too. Singer-songwriters like Carly Simon, Laura Nyro, Joni Mitchell, and Carole King changed the entire tempo of rock music. In 1973, an album released by Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks paved the way for one of the most successful bands of the decade, Fleetwood Mac.
But she'll leave you crying in the night. She will leave you crying in the night. Oh, she's gonna leave you crying in the night. She's back in town and she's looking around.
The album Buckingham Nicks didn't do very well, but Mick Fleetwood heard a song from it and immediately sought the services of Stevie and Lindsey. The first album recorded after Buckingham and Nicks joined the band was called simply Fleetwood Mac. It was a huge bestseller.
Would you say if she promised you heaven? Will you ever win? Will you ever win?
The album relied heavily on the strong writing and singing of Stevie Nicks. Nicks isn't the only woman in the group. Fleetwood Mac also features the talents of Christine McVie, ex-wife of bass player John McVie and keyboard player and singer in the group. Ironically, as the band became more solid musically, the personal relationships in the group began to erode. The McVies divorced, and Buckingham and Nicks broke off their long relationship. Through it all, though, the band continues, and Stevie says it's Christy that keeps it all together.
We have a lot of problems, you know, but we've been married for a long time, all of us, and we're not any of us willing to give up. Christine is always the one that says it's all right. You know, she really is the mom, and she really is very strong. The rest of us aren't so strong sometimes, but she keeps it in a square.
You can take me to paradise, and then again you can be cold as ice. I'm over my head. Oh, but it sure feels nice. You can take me anytime you like. I'll be around if you think you might. Love me, baby. And hold me tight. Your mood is like a circus wheel. You're changing all the time.
Christine McVie song from Fleetwood Mac on Rolling Stone magazine's continuous history of rock and roll. In 1981, Stevie Nicks put together one of the year's top albums, Belladonna, and it established her as one of the top female artists so far in the 80s. When we return, it's Pat Benatar and an all-girl group for the 80s. This is the continuous history of rock and roll. I'm Gary Bridges. The success of Fleetwood Mac was one of the most visible signs of the changing role of women in rock in the 70s. The women didn't just sing in front and look pretty. They played the instruments, wrote some of the better material, and helped make creative decisions.
You'll never realize
in 1976, a pair of sisters from the Seattle-Vancouver area, Ann and Nancy Wilson, released Dreamboat Annie, a hard rockin' album on the practically unknown Mushroom label, a huge success. The band's philosophy is that if the music is simple and it feels right,
we're really sticklers on
excited about a song, and if there's mistakes or
a gaping error even,
or something, so what? Our music is very simple. The messages that come across are simple and sincere.
Cold late nights so long ago, when I was not so strong, you know. Good man came to me, never seen eyes so blue. You know I could not run away, it seemed. We'd seen each other in a dream. Seemed like he knew me, he looked right through me. Yeah. Come on.
Magic Man, the first hit single from the Wilson sisters and Hart. Among the top women in rock, one of the newest and biggest stars is Pat Benatar. Since her first album in 1979, In the Heat of the Night, she's become a familiar voice on the radio. All three of her albums have sold at least 1 million copies each, and for Pat Benatar, the future looks great. She was born Pat Andrzejewski, but married Dennis Benatar in the early 70s. Pat says as a youngster, she was in love with rock and roll.
I always had the radio on as a little kid. I remember Itsy Bitsy, Teeny Weeny, whatever that song was in Purple People Eater when I was real small. I mean, just always had AM on when I was a little kid. The Beatles had come out when I was 12 or something like that, or 11. And I was, totally hooked. I was gone. I was like over the edge. And the Stones, and I was totally into rock and roll.
But in high school, after it was discovered that she had a 3-octave singing range, Benatar was urged to take classical training. After high school, she toyed with the idea of more voice training, but instead got married and traveled with her husband during his stint in the Army. Fed up with being a housewife and bank teller, Pat Benatar chucked her old life for a new one as a rock singer. But it wasn't easy.
The only thing that probably egged me on the most was that all the agents and the record companies would always look at me and say, yeah, but you're too cutesy looking and stuff, and you should be doing Broadway, and girl rock and rollers don't make it in this business. Look what happened to poor Grace Slick, and Janis Joplin's dead, and give it up. Which really, that was it. That pushed me right over the edge. I got real angry, and I was hungry, and I was mad, and that's probably how what happens up there now began. It was from that, from the frustration of being pushed around because you were female, and it was just so ignorant.
To release my inner fantasy, the invincible
Heartbreaker, the first in a long line of Pat Benatar hits on the continuous history of rock and roll. 1981 was a good year for women in pop music. Juice Newton and Kim Carnes had surprise top-selling hits Angel of the Morning by Newton and Carnes' smash Betty Davis Eyes.
All the boys think she's a spy. She's got Betty Davis eyes.
And an all-girl LA-based band surprised everybody with a bouncy single called Our Lips Are Sealed. The Go-Go's are one of the most successful all-girl bands since the days of the Shirelles and the Ronettes. And the Go-Go's have some advice for young women who want to rock.
I'd say not to be afraid to pick up an instrument or to write a song, and even if it doesn't come out good at first, just keep trying because it'll get better.
The Go-Go's, a group that epitomizes a new feeling about women in rock. We'll be back in a moment with a final word. Rock and roll has never been more receptive to music by female artists than it is right now. And for that reason, this chapter of the continuous history of rock and roll is still being written. In a future edition, we'll trace the stories of Linda Ronstadt, Deborah Harry of Blondie, Tina Turner, and newer stars like Carla DeVito and Chrissie Hynde of The Pretenders. The Continuous History of Rock and Roll is produced by Denny Somack and R.D. Steele for Rolling Stone Magazine Productions. If you'd like to write us, send your letters to 745 Fifth Avenue, New York, New York, 10151, or in care of this station. I'm Gary Bridges. Join us next week when we explore another chapter in Rolling Stone Magazine's continuous history of rock and roll. Rolling Stone Magazine's Continuous History of Rock and Roll, Volume 1, Number 19. This week, it's the story of some of rock's most important performers, women in rock.
This song's about rock and roll. Needs a little help from the crowd.
This week, we're tracing a few of the most influential women in rock, and today, it's Janis Joplin. Janis grew up in Port Arthur, Texas. At age 17, she ran away from Port Arthur and traveled around, doing odd jobs and looking for work as a folk singer. Janis landed in San Francisco right at the beginning of the psychedelic scene and joined a band, Big Brother and the Holding Company.
Well, you know you got it. Shine if it makes you feel good.
Big Brother with Janis Joplin made their first big appearance at the Monterey Pop Festival in 1967, and the legendary performance got Big Brother a record contract. Janis left Big Brother in 1968 and went solo. By the late 60s, she was rock's leading lady. Janis was one of the first women in rock who had a certain amount of creative freedom, and she says she never compromised herself for her career.
I'm not wearing cardboard eyelashes and girdles and playing in Las Vegas. I mean, I'm still being Janis. It just happens to be on a slightly different level or something now.
Janis died of an overdose of heroin, sad and lonely, in Los Angeles in October of 1970.
That's it.
The late 60s was a special time for another of rock's most important female stars, Grace Slick, who's the subject of tomorrow's continuous history of rock and roll. I'm Gary Bridges for Rolling Stone magazine and Budweiser. Rolling Stone magazine's Continuous History of Rock and Roll, Volume 1, Number 19. This week, it's the story of some of rock's most important performers, women in rock. The Continuous History of Rock and Roll takes a glimpse at one of rock's most important women, Grace Slick. Grace Slick and husband Jerry formed one of San Francisco's first psychedelic bands, the Great Society. The band lasted just a short time and folded when Grace quit to join the Jefferson airplane. As the airplane evolved into the Starship, Grace moved into more of a leadership role. In the late 70s, Grace Slick left Jefferson Starship because of alcohol and drug problems. Her problems apparently resolved, she came back to the Starship in time to help finish their latest album, Modern Times. More than 15 years later, Grace Slick is still out front of one of rock's top bands. But when asked why she thinks the Starship have been so successful so long, she's uncharacteristically at a loss for words.
It's not a spectacular bombs going off show. I don't know what it is or why it has that longevity.
Tomorrow we'll view the female side of one of rock's all-time best-selling bands, Fleetwood Mac, on the Continuous History of Rock and Roll. Rolling Stone magazine's Continuous History of Rock and Roll, Volume 1, Number 19. This week, it's the story of some of rock's most important performers, women in rock. An album recorded by Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks paved the way for one of the most successful bands of the decade, Fleetwood Mac.
She's back in
While the album Buckingham Nicks didn't do very well, Mick Fleetwood heard a song from it and immediately sought the services of the two. The first album featuring Buckingham and Nicks was called simply Fleetwood Mac. A huge bestseller, the album relied heavily on the writing and singing of Stevie Nicks. But Nicks isn't the only woman in Fleetwood Mac. Christine McVie, ex-wife of bass player John McVie, plays keyboards and has written some of the Mac's best material. Christine was born Christine Perfect and got her start singing lead in the band Chicken Shack. She joined Fleetwood Mac officially in 1970. Stevie Nicks says Christine keeps it all together.
Christine is always the one that says it's all right. You know, she really is the mom, and she really is very strong. The rest of us aren't so strong sometimes, but she keeps it in a square.
So let yourself go and let love begin.
In 1981, Stevie Nicks established herself as one of the top female artists so far in the 80s with her solo work, Belladonna. Tomorrow we'll look at two more women in rock and their band Heart on the continuous history of rock and roll. Rolling Stone magazine's Continuous History of Rock and Roll, Volume 1, Number 19. This week it's the story of some of rock's most important performers, women in rock. In the 1970s, the role of women in rock music began to change drastically. One of the most visible signs of this was the success of Fleetwood Mac and the Wilson sisters, whose group Heart topped the charts in 1976 with Dreamboat Annie. The Wilson sisters were from the Seattle, Vancouver area and surprised everyone in the music business with their first album. It was hard rock, by women, and it was released on the practically unknown Mushroom label. Against those odds, it was a huge success. Entering the 80s, the Wilson sisters restructured the band and took more control of every phase of the business of making their music. Despite the changes in the band, Ann and Nancy's philosophy is to keep the music simple and make sure it feels right.
We're really sticklers on feel.
Yeah, we're a lot more excited about a song that feels incredible. And if there's mistakes or
A gaping error even.
or something, so what?
Even if, come on, even it up, baby.
On tomorrow's Continuous History of Rock and Roll is one of rock's newest and brightest stars, Pat Benatar. Rolling Stone magazine's Continuous History of Rock and Roll, Volume 1, Number 19. This week it's the story of some of rock's most important performers, women in rock. One of the newest and brightest stars is Pat Benatar. She was born Pat Ann Jayevsky and grew up in the New York area. As a youngster, she was in love with rock and roll. But in high school, when it was found that she had a 3-octave singing range, Benatar was urged to take classical voice lessons. After high school, she toyed with the idea of more lessons, but married Dennis Benatar instead and traveled with him during his stint in the Army. Fed up with life as a housewife and bank teller, Benatar chucked her old life and started a new one as a rock singer. But it wasn't easy.
The only thing that probably egged me on the most was the frustration of being pushed around because you were female, and it was just so ignorant.
She's realized the dream of thousands of struggling musicians. After 3 albums, she stands at the pinnacle of rock stardom. Her latest album is Precious Time. This weekend, the Continuous History of Rock and Roll presents the expanded 1-hour look at women in rock.